Maria was a dedicated single mother of two, navigating the ups and downs of life with a determined spirit. Every morning, she woke up before the sun, ready to face another day filled with challenges. The sound of her alarm clock sliced through the quiet of dawn, and she quickly got out of bed, careful not to wake her children, just 30 years old. Maria had already experienced her share of struggles, but she also held dreams that stretched far beyond her current situation. Her mornings began with a flurry of activity. She would rush to prepare breakfast, her kids' favorite pancakes sizzling on the stove while she packed their lunches. Her 10-year-old son, Jake, loved dinosaurs, so she often tucked in little dinosaur-shaped sandwiches. 8-year-old Lily was a budding artist. Maria made sure to include colored pencils and a sketchbook in her daughter's lunch bag each day. These small gestures brought joy to her children and fueled Maria's motivation to keep pushing forward. After breakfast, the daily routine continued as Maria would help Jake and Lily get dressed and ready for school. As she braided Lily's hair, she reminded them of the importance of kindness and hard work. "Remember," she said with a smile, "we can be strong together." Once they were off to school, Maria's next task awaited her. Finding work. Job hunting was tough. With limited time and resources, Maria often felt overwhelmed. Most days, she'd scroll through job listings online late into the night after tucking the kids in bed. It felt like searching for a needle in a haystack. Many positions required experience or full-time availability that she simply couldn't commit to since her children needed her at home after school. When she stumbled upon the Maid job listing for a wealthy CEO's house, hope sparked within her. It seemed simple enough. Cleaning and organizing. Something Maria had done for family and friends over the years. The pay was decent, which could help her get back on track financially. With a determination fueled by love for her children, Maria decided to apply. The day of the interview arrived, and nerves fluttered in her stomach. Maria wore an outfit that made her feel confident. A neat blouse paired with comfortable slacks. She practiced deep breaths to calm herself as she drove to the impressive mansion that belonged to the CEO. The sprawling landscape and grand entrance left her in awe, but it also heightened her anxiety as she stepped through the door. Maria tried not to focus on how out of place she felt in such luxurious surroundings. Instead, she reminded herself why she was there. Her children needed support, and this job could provide that stability. She straightened up and prepared for what lay ahead. Little did she know that this day would change everything. Not just for herself, but for someone else too. The interview had something unexpected waiting for her. An encounter that would test her heart and challenge her plans for the future in ways she could never have seen coming. With each step further into the grand home, Maria was about to embark on a journey filled with surprises that would shake up her world forever. As Maria settled into her routine of searching for jobs, she felt a mix of hope and frustration. Each evening, after helping her children with homework and reading them bedtime stories, she would sit at her small kitchen table, scrolling through countless job listings on her laptop. Most positions seemed out of reach, either requiring more experience or demanding full-time hours that she could not provide. One evening, while browsing an online job board, an advertisement caught her eye. Maid needed for luxury home. Maria's heart raced as she read the details. The job involved cleaning, organizing, and maintaining a beautiful home for a wealthy CEO. The pay was decent, enough to cover some bills and buy groceries without stretching her thin budget. Intrigued, Maria clicked on the listing to learn more. She discovered that the work was part-time, which meant she could still be there for Jake and Lily when they got home from school. This aspect filled her with excitement. The thought of being able to manage her responsibilities as a mother while earning an income felt like a dream come true. The more she read, the more she envisioned how this job could change their lives for the better. It felt like the perfect opportunity. That night, as Maria lay in bed, thoughts swirled in her mind. She pictured herself working in a stunning house, surrounded by order and cleanliness. The idea of earning money while ensuring her children had what they needed gave her hope. It was a chance to not just survive but to thrive. Maybe she could finally afford new clothes for Jake and Lily or even save for a family outing to the zoo. Something they hadn't done in ages. The next morning, she took a deep breath and crafted her application. She highlighted her cleaning experience and emphasized her dedication to providing a safe and loving environment for her children. With each word she typed, Maria felt more confident that she could convince the CEO that she would be the right person for the job. After submitting her application, Maria anxiously waited for a response. Days passed slowly, filled with moments of doubt creeping into her mind. Would they even consider someone like her? But just when she thought about giving up hope, an email notification pinged on her phone. She had been invited for an interview. Her heart raced as joy flooded through her. This was it, the moment that could change everything. Preparing for the interview became her new focus. Maria spent days getting ready, researching tips on how to impress during interviews and practicing answers to potential questions. She wanted to make sure that when she walked into that mansion, she would shine. As the day approached, Maria felt both excitement and nervousness bubbling inside her. She envisioned walking through the grand entrance of the CEO's home, carrying with her not just hopes for a job but dreams of a brighter future for herself and her children. This opportunity was more than just a job. It was a lifeline, a chance to provide stability and happiness in their lives. Little did she know that this very opportunity would lead to an encounter that would change everything yet again. One that would challenge what she thought she knew about life and love. With determination in her heart, Maria set out, ready to face whatever awaited her at the luxurious home of the CEO. Maria drove through the winding roads leading to the CEO's home. Her heart raced with a mix of excitement and anxiety. The lavish neighborhood was filled with beautiful houses, each one grander than the last. She felt small and out of place as she glanced at the impressive mansions lining the street. Would she really belong in a world like this? When she finally arrived at the towering entrance of the CEO's house, Maria took a moment to collect herself. The mansion stood before her like a palace, its marble facade glinting in the midday sun. She parked her car, her hands trembling slightly on the steering wheel. A deep breath settled her nerves. She had to remind herself that she was here for a reason. This job was not just about her, it was about providing for Jake and Lily. Walking towards the entrance, Maria noticed how manicured the lawns were, with perfectly trimmed hedges and vibrant flower beds bursting with color. She climbed the stairs to the grand front door. Uncertainty washed over her. What if she didn't make a good impression? What if they saw her as just another struggling mother with no real qualifications? Shaking off these doubts, she squared her shoulders and knocked on the door. When it opened, Maria was greeted by a friendly but surprised woman who introduced herself as Anna, the house manager. Anna welcomed Maria inside and led her through an expansive foyer adorned with elegant art pieces and sparkling chandeliers. The beauty of the interior made Maria's breath catch in her throat. Lush carpets cushioned her footsteps, and everything around her gleamed like something out of a magazine. As they walked further into the home, Maria couldn't help but let her mind wander to what life might be like working here. It seemed surreal to think that she could help keep such a remarkable place clean and organized. Just then, Anna turned to ask if Maria would like some water while she waited for the CEO to arrive. Maria nodded gratefully but felt butterflies in her stomach as she settled into one of the plush chairs in the living room. The minutes ticked by slowly as anxiety ebbed and flowed within her. She rehearsed what she'd say during the interview in her mind, her experience, why she needed this job, how much it would mean for her kids' future. Each time she prepared mentally for their conversation, shadows of doubt crept back in. Would they really believe she could manage such a demanding job? Just as Maria began to zone out in thought, footsteps echoed down the hall. Her heart raced again as Anna announced that the CEO had arrived. Standing up straight, Maria wiped clammy hands on her slacks and inhaled deeply. This was it. This was where everything could change. As he walked into view, Maria felt both awe and intimidation wash over her. That he carried himself confidently. His demeanor radiated power and success. But beneath that facade lay a human being who might understand struggle. Perhaps he had faced challenges of his own at some point in his life. Determined not to let nerves overwhelm her, she steadied herself for what would come next, the moment that could change everything for both herself and perhaps even for him too. With hope flickering in her heart, Maria prepared to make an impression that would shake up their worlds forever. As the door swung open, Maria was greeted by a tall man in a sharp navy suit, his presence commanding yet approachable. He had a warm smile that instantly put her at ease, but she could still sense an air of authority about him. This was Daniel, the CEO of a successful tech company that had skyrocketed to fame in recent years, making him one of the wealthiest and most influential figures in the industry. Daniel had a reputation for being down-to-earth despite his success, often surprising people with his approachability. He was known for promoting a culture of kindness within his company and believed in giving back to the community. Maria had read about his philanthropic efforts in local news, how he funded scholarships for underprivileged children, and supported social services for families in need. It was refreshing to see someone in his position using their power for good, and it gave her a sense of hope as he extended his hand for a handshake. Maria noticed the strong, confident grip that was paired with a gentle touch. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Maria," Daniel said, his voice deep and comforting. "I appreciate you coming in today." His genuine interest made her feel seen, even if just for a moment. While they walked to the interview room, Maria observed how Daniel interacted with Anna. He treated her with respect and listened attentively as she provided details about the home and its upkeep. This simple act demonstrated his leadership style. He valued input from those around him, regardless of their position. It was a trait that set him apart from many high-powered executives who often overlooked those they perceived as beneath them. Once they settled into the spacious meeting room, Daniel leaned forward slightly, resting his arms on the table. "I know you're probably feeling nervous," he said with an understanding smile. "But I want to get to know you as a person, not just as a candidate." His words lightened the atmosphere, helping to ease some of the tension that had built up inside Maria as they began the interview. Daniel asked questions about her background and experiences. Maria shared stories about her life as a single mother, emphasizing how she managed to balance work and family while always striving to create a loving home. Each time she spoke, Daniel listened intently, nodding and encouraging her to continue. He seemed genuinely interested in her journey, which made her feel more comfortable opening up. Throughout their conversation, Daniel's insights revealed more about his character. He spoke passionately about the importance of work-life balance and how he believed that everyone deserved the chance to succeed regardless of their circumstances. It struck Maria how relatable he was. He didn't just appear as a wealthy CEO, but as someone who understood struggles and aspirations. As the interview progressed, Maria felt an unexpected connection forming between them, a sense that they were both trying to navigate their own paths through life's challenges. Daniel had carved out a successful career while remaining grounded and compassionate. In that moment, she realized that they were not so different after all. Both were seeking to make their lives meaningful in a world filled with obstacles. By the end of their conversation, Maria felt empowered. She had come into this interview uncertain but left feeling validated. Daniel had opened her eyes to the possibility that perhaps this job could be more than just work. It could be a partnership built on mutual respect and understanding. Little did she know how much deeper their connection would go as the day unfolded, leading to unexpected twists that neither could foresee. As the interview continued, Maria felt increasingly at ease. Daniel's warmth and genuine interest in her life helped to wash away her initial nerves, allowing their conversation to flow naturally. They discussed everything from her experiences as a single mother to her hopes for the future. Each shared story brought them closer together, and with every laugh, Maria felt a flicker of trust ignite between them. After discussing her qualifications, Daniel leaned back in his chair, a contemplative look on his face. "You know, Maria," he said slowly, "it's rare to meet someone who truly understands the balance between work and family as you do." He paused for a moment, his gaze fixed on hers with an intensity that made her heart race. "You have a unique perspective on life, and I admire your strength." Maria could feel a blush creeping up her cheeks. She wasn't used to receiving such compliments, especially from someone so successful. Just as she was about to respond, Daniel took a deep breath as if he was gathering his thoughts for something important. "I know this might sound unconventional," he began cautiously, "but I have to be honest here." The shift in tone made Maria's heartbeat quicken again. Anticipation filled the air like electricity. "I've been thinking about this a lot since we started talking. I can see how incredible you are not just as a candidate for this job, but as a person." She felt an odd knot form in her gut as Daniel continued. "I would like to propose something unexpected." He paused again, letting the weight of his words settle between them. Maria's mind raced through possibilities. Was he going to offer her an extraordinary salary or maybe other perks? What could it be? "Instead of offering you the maid position," he said slowly but steadily, "I would like to ask if you'd consider marrying me instead." Silence enveloped the room as Maria processed what he had just said. Her eyes widened in disbelief. She thought she must have misheard him. This couldn't be right. The CEO of a major company was asking her to marry him? Was this some sort of joke? Wait, what? She finally managed to stammer out, trying to gauge whether Daniel was completely serious or merely teasing her at the end of this intense interview. Daniel remained calm and earnest as he explained himself further. I know it sounds sudden and even absurd, he admitted. But after hearing about your life and seeing your spirit, I can't help but believe that we share more than just this moment. I see potential together. His tone was sincere and unwavering. Maria felt bewildered. There were so many emotions coursing through her. Shock, confusion, and somewhere beneath it all, a flicker of curiosity about what such a partnership might look like. Daniel, she began cautiously, still processing everything he had said. I appreciate your kind words, but I'm not sure how I fit into such an unexpected proposal. Her heart raced. Marrying someone she hardly knew felt like stepping into an unknown abyss. Daniel nodded thoughtfully, understanding her hesitation. I know it's unorthodox, he replied gently. But sometimes life presents us with opportunities in ways we never anticipate. In that moment, Maria realized that the day had already shifted more than she could have ever imagined. What started as just another job interview had transformed into something much larger. A crossroads that could change their lives forever. Would she dare take such a leap into the unknown? She glanced at Daniel's sincere expression and felt an undeniable connection pulling at her heartstrings. Maria's mind spun as she processed Daniel's unexpected proposal. Marrying a man she had just met, especially someone as powerful and successful as him, felt like stepping into a whirlwind. The shock of his words reverberated in her chest, and confusion washed over her like a tidal wave. How could he think that a marriage proposal was the answer when she had come here looking for a job? She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. Wait, what? Maria repeated, unsure if she was still dreaming or if this was some elaborate joke. The reality of the situation clashed violently with her desperate need for stability in her life. Just moments ago, she had imagined herself in the role of maid, a job that would provide for her children while allowing her to be present for them after school. Now, everything hung in the balance. Daniel watched her closely, clearly aware of the turmoil raging in her mind. I understand it sounds sudden, he said, softly, but I believe we could build something good together. His sincerity struck her. It was evident he wasn't joking or being flippant about this proposal. He truly believed in the potential of their connection. Maria's heart raced at the thought of what marrying Daniel could mean for her and her children. A life filled with security and opportunities flashed before her eyes. No more late nights worrying about bills or whether there would be enough food on the table. But alongside that dream came a deep-seated fear. She barely knew him. Could she really trust him with such an important decision? The idea of tying herself to someone so quickly felt overwhelming. Daniel, she began softly, searching for the right words. I appreciate your kind offer, but I just don't know if I can say yes to something like this. Her voice trembled slightly as she continued. I came here looking for work to support my kids, not to enter into an arrangement that feels so uncertain. He nodded thoughtfully, respecting her hesitation. I get it, he replied gently. But sometimes we have to take risks to find happiness. His confidence radiated through the room, making it difficult for Maria to dismiss his words entirely. Maria leaned back in her chair, feeling lost between two worlds. One where she remained a struggling single mother and another where she risked everything on an uncertain future with a man who seemed too good to be true. Her thoughts spiraled as she weighed the practicality of accepting a job against the allure of what marriage could bring. What would people think? Would they judge her for rushing into something so serious? Yet, she couldn't shake the feeling that Daniel saw something special in her. A light that others had overlooked at IT made her wonder if perhaps their meeting was more than just coincidence as silence stretched between them. Maria's heart began to settle into a rhythm of contemplation rather than panic. What if marrying Daniel offered not just financial security but emotional support as well? They shared an undeniable chemistry that hinted at possibilities beyond mere companionship. However, doubts lingered like shadows at the edges of her mind. Could love grow from this unexpected foundation? Was it wise to leap into such a monumental change without knowing how it might affect Jake and Lily? In that moment of uncertainty, Maria knew one thing for certain. Whatever choice she made would shape not just her life but also the lives of her children. With Daniel watching patiently, waiting for her response, Maria took another deep breath. This decision could change everything. After a moment of silence stretched between them, Maria finally spoke, her voice steadying. Before I make any decisions, I think it's important to understand each other better. What do you dream of, Daniel? She looked into his eyes, searching for honesty and depth. Daniel leaned back in his chair, a thoughtful expression crossing his face. You know, I've spent so much time building my career that I sometimes forget to think about what I truly want outside of work, he replied. But deep down, I've always wanted to create a life filled with connection and purpose, a family that supports each other through thick and thin. I want to make a difference in the world, not just through my company but in my personal life as well. Maria felt a warmth in her chest hearing him articulate such desires. I can relate to that, she said softly. Being a single mom has shown me how important it is to have a strong support system. I want my children to believe in themselves and know they can pursue their dreams, no matter what challenges they face. She paused for a moment as memories of late nights spent helping Jake with his school projects and encouraging Lily's art aspirations flooded her mind. My biggest dream is to see my kids happy and successful, to provide them with opportunities that I didn't have growing up. Daniel nodded, clearly engaged in the conversation. What did you want to be when you were younger? He asked, curiosity sparkling in his eyes. I wanted to be an artist, Maria admitted with a shy smile. I love drawing and painting, but life took me down a different path. She felt vulnerability wash over her as she shared this piece of herself. I had to put those dreams aside to provide for my family, but sometimes I wonder if there's still room for those passions in my life. That's beautiful, Daniel said earnestly. Art brings so much joy and perspective into the world. Maybe it's not too late for you to explore that side of yourself again. Finding time for your passion could be part of what makes you whole. His encouragement made Maria's heart swell with hope. Thank you, she replied softly, feeling invigorated by their shared conversation. What about you? Do you have dreams outside of your company? Daniel chuckled lightly, running a hand through his hair. Honestly, most people only see the business side of me. They forget I have other interests too. I love hiking and getting lost in nature. It clears my mind and reminds me of what truly matters in life. He paused thoughtfully, continuing, but more than anything, I dream of building something meaningful with someone who shares my values. With every word exchanged, Maria realized how much more there was to Daniel than just the powerful CEO facade. He was a man seeking connection, much like she was. Their conversation continued to flow easily as they shared stories about their childhoods, the struggles they faced growing up, and the dreams that had shaped their lives. As they spoke, Maria felt walls beginning to lower between them. For the first time since arriving at the mansion, her heart felt lighter. This was more than an interview. It felt like a moment that could redefine both their futures. Sometimes I wonder if people are meant to cross paths for a reason, she mused after a lull in conversation. Daniel looked at her intently, nodding in agreement as if he understood the weight of her words. Maybe this is our moment, he said gently. Perhaps we're both looking for something greater than ourselves. In that moment, Maria felt the gravity of their conversation. It was as if they were standing on the edge of something exhilarating yet uncertain. A new beginning filled with possibilities waiting to be explored together. As Maria sat across from Daniel, the silence hung between them like a heavy curtain, weighing on her mind. The unexpected proposal spun around her thoughts like a cyclone, leaving her emotionally disoriented. On one hand, the prospect of marrying a wealthy CEO came with promises of security for herself and her children, a life free from constant worry about bills and basic needs. On the other hand, the mere idea of saying yes felt wildly premature and frightening. Her heart raced as she thought back to her children, Jake and Lily, and what they would think of their mother marrying a man they had never met. Would they accept him? Could she introduce someone new into their tightly knit little family? They were her first priority. Every decision she made revolved around their happiness and stability. This relationship, and even the idea of marriage, felt almost like an extraterrestrial concept that had landed on her doorstep without warning. But am I really ready to take that leap? Maria wondered silently. Doubts crept in like shadows, dancing at the corners of her mind. What if Daniel was not who he seemed? Yes, he was charming and engaging during their conversation, but how could she trust someone based on just a few discussions? There was still so much she didn't know about him. Then again, there was something about Daniel. His sincerity ignited a flicker of hope within her. He spoke passionately about dreams and connection, things that resonated deeply with Maria's own desires as both a woman and a mother. The vision he painted of building a life filled with purpose sounded idyllic, yet the suddenness of his offer was jarring. Was it foolish to consider such an arrangement? She thought back to the evenings spent alone after putting Jake and Lily to bed, poring over job listings until her eyes blurred with fatigue. Those long nights were filled with uncertainty about how she would provide for her family while maintaining any semblance of hope for their future. Now, here she sat with an opportunity to grasp joy and stability, yet it all felt far too surreal to fully accept that Maria's internal tug-of-war raged on, the longing for stability. A stable home, emotional support from a partner who understood her struggles, was tempting. But could she procure such security when everything hinged on a decision made in haste? Her mind buzzed with hypothetical scenarios. What if everything went beautifully? Or what if it led to heartbreak or complications that would affect her children? Sometimes we have to take risks. Daniel's words echoed in her mind as she weighed the possibility of marriage versus accepting the maid position that brought no guarantees but could provide sustenance for now. But risks often bore fruit. Wouldn't it be worth stepping out into the unknown to seek a future full of promise? She looked up at Daniel, whose expression revealed concern tinged with patience and curiosity as he awaited her response. It dawned on her that he too was looking for something more profound than mere companionship. He wished to build a meaningful life together amid their shared struggles. Maria felt a surge of heat in her chest as clarity began slipping through the fog of uncertainty. She yearned to create an environment where Jake and Lily could flourish, not just financially but emotionally too. Perhaps this moment could blend those two worlds in ways she hadn't initially imagined, as confidence grew amidst the chaos of thoughts battling for dominance in her mind. Maria sighed softly. A decision loomed closer on the horizon. Whether facing those uncertainties alone or stepping forward in trust alongside Daniel, this choice was hers to make. A crossroads that could redefine them all forever. As Maria sat quietly, contemplating Daniel's proposal, he took a moment to reflect on his own motivations. The weight of his loneliness began to settle heavily on his shoulders, and he felt compelled to share the truth with her. While he had presented the marriage offer as an unexpected solution, it was born from a deeper yearning. His desire for genuine companionship. Daniel had reached a level of success that many could only dream of. He was the CEO of a thriving tech company, admired by peers and envied by others. Yet, despite the recognition and wealth, an emptiness gnawed at him. High-powered meetings and lavish parties had become routine, but they failed to fill the void in his heart. He often found himself surrounded by people but still feeling profoundly alone. In the quiet moments after work, when he returned to his grand home, the silence echoed painfully, amplifying his sense of isolation. His life was filled with accomplishments, yet there was no one with whom he could share those victories. Friends had dwindled over the years. Many had become more interested in what he could offer than in truly knowing him. Daniel craved a partner who understood him on a deeper level, someone with whom he could share both dreams and struggles. When he first met Maria, something about her struck a chord within him. She radiated warmth and resilience. Her stories about her children and her dedication to providing for them resonated deeply with his longing for connection. In their conversation, he saw not just a hard-working single mother but a woman with dreams of her own, a person who genuinely cared about family and community. The idea of marrying Maria wasn't merely impulsive. It was also a reflection of his hope for companionship that transcended societal expectations. He wanted someone who could stand by him through challenges, someone who would not shy away from vulnerability or authenticity. In proposing marriage, Daniel envisioned building a life together where they could support each other through adversity and celebrate successes as partners. He understood that this might seem unconventional, especially given their brief relationship. However, Daniel believed that sometimes fate intervenes unexpectedly. He felt that their meeting was one such cosmic event that deserved exploration. The more they spoke about their hopes and dreams, the more he felt they could weave their lives together into something meaningful. "Maria," he began softly after a thoughtful pause, "I know my proposal might seem sudden or even unreasonable, but I see so much potential in us." He looked directly into her eyes, hoping she would understand the sincerity behind his words. "I'm not just looking for someone to fill a role. I want to build something real, a partnership rooted in mutual understanding and support." The tension in the room shifted slightly as Daniel spoke from the heart. He shared his feelings of loneliness candidly, revealing how success had isolated him rather than connected him with others. "I've realized that no amount of wealth can replace companionship," he confessed. "I believe we can create something beautiful together if you're willing to take this leap." Maria listened intently as Daniel opened up about his vulnerabilities. His honesty touched her in ways she hadn't anticipated. It made her reconsider the enormous decision before her. While she still wrestled with doubts about saying yes to such an unconventional proposal so soon, she recognized the deep yearning for connection that mirrored her own struggles as a single mother. In that moment of sharing truths and hopes, Maria felt the walls around her heart begin to crack ever so slightly. Perhaps this was not just about security or stability. Maybe it was also about finding someone who understood loneliness and desire for companionship just as she did. As Daniel's words sank in further, Maria contemplated how this unexpected proposal might lead not only to personal fulfillment but also to creating a nurturing environment for Jake and Lily, a chance for all of them to thrive together in love and support. Would she dare take that step into the unknown alongside someone who shared such profound feelings? Maria sat in the luxurious office, the air thick with uncertainty as she weighed her options. On one side lay Daniel's unexpected proposal, a chance to marry a man who seemed kind and understanding, which could lead to a life filled with emotional support and financial security for her children. On the other side was the practical job of a maid. Steady income, predictable hours, and a role she felt equipped to handle. The thought of marrying Daniel stirred a mix of excitement and dread in her heart. She envisioned a future where their lives intertwined, where both families could support each other in ways they both desperately needed. But there was also an underlying fear that wouldn't leave her. Was she prepared to commit to someone she barely knew? The mere idea of saying, "I do," to a stranger sent chills down her spine. Could I really trust him? She pondered silently. Although Daniel had been open about his loneliness and desire for companionship, Maria struggled with the idea of leapfrogging into such an important commitment based on limited interaction. She didn't know his day-to-day quirks or how he handled stress, elements that were crucial for any relationship. The image of her children, Jake and Lily, flashed across her mind. They needed stability, not uncertainty. On the other hand, the prospect of being married to Daniel was undeniably alluring. He was successful, passionate, and driven, a man who could provide a comfortable life for her family. Perhaps with him by her side, she could achieve her own dreams of creativity and personal fulfillment while nurturing their children's development. Could this partnership offer the support system she desired? Yet, as tempting as it sounded, Maria couldn't ignore the practicality of accepting the maid position instead. With that job came immediate benefits. It would give her income from day one, allowing her to pay bills and buy groceries without delay. It would keep things familiar for Jake and Lily. No sudden adjustments or new faces in their lives. They had already endured so much. Stability was essential for their well-being. She imagined herself donning the maid uniform, cleaning the lavish house while still being present for her children's needs after school. The job represented a reliable path toward providing for them, a way to maintain control over her family's future without introducing unknown variables. But what if marrying Daniel meant building a life filled with shared dreams? What if that leap of faith led to a partnership where they faced challenges together? Maria's heart raced as conflicting emotions battled within her. She remembered Daniel's words about creating something beautiful together. Perhaps this could be the beginning of something meaningful. As the silence stretched between them once more, Maria found herself torn between these two very different paths. Each option sparked hope but also carried risks. The risk of embracing love and vulnerability versus the risk of choosing familiarity over possibility. "Isn't it worth taking the chance?" whispered a voice in her mind that echoed Daniel's earlier sentiments about life's unpredictability. Yet another part of her screamed for caution, the reminder that rushing into anything might leave her exposed and vulnerable. "Think wisely," she reminded herself as she glanced at Daniel, who patiently awaited her response. She needed to balance hope against fear and practicality against emotion. Whatever choice she made would change not just her life but also the lives of those she cherished most. With every second ticking by, Maria felt the weight of this decision settle heavily on her shoulders. That it was more than just about herself. It was about creating an environment where Jake and Lily could thrive, whether under the security of their current routine or within the potential warmth of an unexpected partnership. As possibilities swirled around her like autumn leaves caught in a gentle breeze, clarity began to emerge from within. The moment demanded careful consideration before she took that leap into the unknown. As the minutes ticked by, Maria felt the weight of her decision bearing down on her. The room was quiet, save for the gentle hum of the air conditioning and the distant sounds of the city outside. Her thoughts raced in circles, but amidst the chaos, a pivotal moment began to unfold that would help her gain clarity. "Maria?" Daniel's voice broke through her thoughts, his tone soft yet earnest. "I know this is a lot to take in, but I truly believe we're both looking for something more than just a job or a partner. We're searching for connection and understanding. Sometimes, life leads us down unexpected paths for reasons we might not immediately understand." His words resonated deeply with her, striking a chord within. Maria realized how much she craved that same connection. Life had been filled with challenges since she became a single mother, and though she had devoted herself entirely to raising Jake and Lily, there was always an unquenched thirst for emotional intimacy and shared experiences. "I've spent so long worrying about my children's future," Maria admitted, her voice trembling slightly. "I've put my dreams on hold because I didn't want to compromise their happiness. But now, I find myself at a crossroads that feels both frightening and exhilarating." The vulnerability in her words hung in the air as Daniel nodded in understanding. "It's okay to acknowledge your desires," he encouraged gently. "You deserve to explore your dreams too, Maria. You don't have to sacrifice your happiness for your children's sake. Showing them how to pursue their passions will set a powerful example." Suddenly, Maria envisioned her own dreams. Those late-night doodles she once used to escape into an imaginative world. The art classes she had longed to attend but never could afford. What if embracing a relationship with Daniel allowed her to reignite that creative spark? What if he became an ally in nurturing not only his dreams but also hers? A stirring of hope flickered within her as she thought of the potential partnership they could forge together. If Daniel could provide stability and support, perhaps it would free her to pursue her passions while ensuring Jake and Lily thrived in a loving environment. Her heart began to race at the thought of building a family together, one where they uplifted each other rather than feeling isolated. But as those hopeful thoughts settled in, another voice in her mind warned her about the risks involved in marriage, especially with someone she didn't know well. She had witnessed relationships crumble and families torn apart. These concerns loomed large as she considered making such a significant commitment. Just then, a memory flashed through her mind. The laughter shared during family movie nights with Jake and Lily, the pride she felt when they reached milestones in their lives. All those moments fueled by love and support. Those memories were grounding as she weighed her options. "I want what's best for my kids," Maria said softly, meeting Daniel's gaze with newfound determination. "I've worked hard to provide for them on my own. But I also want to dream again and teach them that pursuing happiness is important too." Daniel smiled encouragingly. It was as if he understood the mental shift happening within her in that moment of honesty. Maria realized that she didn't have to choose between stability and emotional fulfillment. She could integrate both into her life. Marrying Daniel didn't mean abandoning her responsibilities. It could be an opportunity to embrace life's uncertainties together. With this newfound clarity, Maria felt ready to face the future. Not just for herself, but for Jake and Lily too. She knew that whatever path she chose would require courage and trust, but she was beginning to see that taking risks could lead to beautiful possibilities. Taking a deep breath, Maria felt the weight on her shoulders begin to lift. It was time to step forward into the unknown, embracing the journey that awaited them all, together. The room felt charged with anticipation as Maria sat across from Daniel, her heart pounding like a drum. She glanced at him, taking in his hopeful expression, and felt a wave of conflicting emotions wash over her. The moment she had been dreading yet anticipating was finally here. Decision time. With each breath, Maria's mind danced between thoughts of security and the unknown. On one hand lay Daniel's offer, a chance to marry a man who understood her struggles and might provide the emotional support she craved. On the other was the practical job as a maid, which could give her immediate income and stability for Jake and Lily. Both options held significant weight. Both promised potential changes in her life. Maria's gaze drifted to the window, where the sunlight streamed in, illuminating the dust particles swirling in the air. Reminded her of all those moments spent at home with her children, their laughter echoing through her small apartment as they played games or watched movies together. She loved those simple moments. They were filled with joy and warmth. Would marrying Daniel disrupt the rhythm that she had worked so hard to establish? Yet another thought entered her mind. What if this opportunity could enhance their lives instead? What if being with Daniel allowed her to create an environment where Jake and Lily would thrive not just physically but emotionally? She envisioned family dinners filled with laughter, weekend outings where they explored nature together, and shared dreams becoming a reality. As these images flooded her thoughts, Maria's heart began to swell with hope. But then came the nagging doubts. Marrying someone she barely knew felt like stepping into uncharted territory. She couldn't ignore the risk involved. What if it all fell apart? The fear of introducing instability into Jake and Lily's lives loomed large. Think wisely, she reminded herself again, pushing back against the uncertainty. In that instant, clarity emerged from within her tangled thoughts. Maria realized that this decision wasn't solely about her. It was also about teaching her children valuable lessons about love, resilience, and taking risks for happiness. By considering Daniel's proposal seriously, perhaps she would show them that pursuing one's dreams was worthwhile, because it could lead to unexpected joy. Daniel had opened up to her in ways few others had before. He had shared his vulnerabilities alongside his aspirations. That connection was something rare and beautiful, a foundation upon which they could build together if given the chance. Could this be a turning point for both of them? Feeling determined, Maria took a deep breath and looked directly into Daniel's eyes as he awaited her response. "I've spent so long focusing on what's best for my children," she said slowly, feeling empowered by her own words. "But I also have dreams I want to pursue." She could see encouragement blooming in his expression as he leaned forward slightly, eager to hear more. "What I need is not just security but someone who will help me ensure that my children know love and connection too." A small smile crept across Maria's face as she continued softly, I think I'm ready to take this leap." The moment felt monumental, the kind of decision that would shape their future paths forever. With resolve swelling within her heart, Maria knew she wanted to embrace this unpredictable journey with Daniel by her side. "I accept your proposal," she declared firmly yet gently, but with an underlying thrill of excitement coursing through her veins. This decision marked not just a new chapter for herself but for Jake and Lily too, a step toward building a life filled with warmth, support, and shared dreams. As Daniel's face broke into a wide smile, the kind that lit up his entire being, Maria felt lightness sweep over her like fresh air after a stormy night. Her heart brimming with hope for what lay ahead now accompanied every decision they would make as partners moving forward together into this new adventure called life. As weeks passed following her engagement to Daniel, Maria's life began to shift in remarkable ways. The decision to marry him had not been without its challenges, but it felt right. A budding partnership filled with promise and hope. With Daniel by her side, they navigated the complexities of blending their lives and families. Maria was nervous at first, stepping into the role of soon-to-be wife to a wealthy CEO. However, Daniel remained patient and understanding, guiding her through this daunting transition. He encouraged her to continue developing her own passions, frequently reminding her that part of his vision for their future included supporting her dreams. 1. Sunny Saturday morning, Maria stood in the kitchen, preparing breakfast for Jake and Lily while Daniel read the newspaper at the dining table. The gentle morning light streamed through the windows, illuminating the fresh flowers Daniel had picked for her the day before. A small gesture that warmed her heart. "Mom, can we go to the park today?" Lily's voice piped up from the living room where she was playing with Jake. "I want to ride my bike," Maria smiled, brushing a light flower dust off her apron. "Of course. We can pack a picnic and make a day of it." She turned to Daniel, who nodded eagerly at the idea as they sat together at the table enjoying breakfast. Maria marveled at how effortlessly Daniel interacted with her children. He brought out a playful side in Jake as they joked about superheroes over pancakes while sharing heartfelt moments with Lily as she told him about her drawing adventures. The scene filled Maria with warmth. Perhaps this was what she had yearned for all along. A family that embraced love and connection. Memories of past struggles began to fade as new ones were formed. Each laugh shared and supportive word exchanged reinforced their bond and started solidifying Daniel's place not just in her life but in Jake and Lily's hearts as well. However, emotions still swirled beneath the surface. Maria felt a twinge of anxiety now and then. Could she fully trust this new life they were building? What if things changed? Doubts lingered like shadows, especially when it meant facing a world outside the familiar confines of her previous life. She sometimes pondered the suddenness of their relationship. Was it truly possible to forge a lifelong partnership based on such limited knowledge of each other? But every time uncertainty threatened, it was met with reassurance. Daniel's tender smile or a shared moment with the kids reminded her that they were forging something beautiful together. His words echoed in her mind from one of their earlier conversations. "We'll grow together." One evening after dinner, while Daniel was washing dishes, Maria found herself taking a quiet moment on the couch. The children had wandered into their rooms, surrendering to fatigue after a long day of fun. A sense of peace enveloped her as she watched Daniel glancing over at her with warmth. "Hey," he said softly as he dried his hands and approached her. "What are you thinking about?" "Just how lucky we are," Maria replied, meeting his eyes and feeling gratitude wash over her. "This feels like a dream sometimes." His expression shifted to one of sincerity as he settled beside her. "It is a dream, but we're making it a reality," he said gently. "I want you to know that your happiness matters just as much as mine." In that instant, Maria realized that this union wasn't just about building a stable life for Jake and Lily. It was about embracing love and creating a nurturing environment where they could all grow together. Emotionally, personally, and as a family. With newfound clarity, she leaned against Daniel's shoulder, comforted by his presence. "You know," she started hesitantly, but resolutely found her voice while feeling hopeful for their shared future. "I think we're building something truly special here." As they sat quietly side by side amidst this newfound understanding, both Maria and Daniel knew that whatever challenges lay ahead would be faced together. In that simple moment filled with laughter and love, Maria reaffirmed that she had chosen correctly. Not just for herself but for her children too. The path before them might still hold uncertainties and unforeseen obstacles, but with every step forward hand in hand, Maria felt ready to face the journey, embracing every twist and turn because now she had not only an ally in Daniel but also hope that painted their lives with possibilities. As Maria settled into her new life with Daniel, she found herself reflecting more often on the journey that had brought her to this point. The path she had traveled was filled with challenges and triumphs, moments of doubt, and flashes of hope that intertwined to shape her experience as a mother and as a woman. Sitting in the cozy living room one evening, surrounded by the laughter of Jake and Lily as they played board games with Daniel, Maria felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. It was moments like these that reminded her of her initial fears. The worries about marrying someone she barely knew and whether blending their families would truly work. Yet here they were, creating cherished memories together. In her quiet moments of reflection, Maria often thought about how far she had come since that day at Daniel's mansion, when he had unexpectedly proposed. Just a short time ago, she had been contemplating whether the maid position would bring the stability she needed for her children. Now, as she looked around at the happy faces surrounding her, it became clear that the love and connection they shared were worth taking risks for. She marveled at how Daniel had not only accepted her children but actively engaged in their lives. Whether teaching them to ride bikes at the park or joining Lily for artistic endeavors at home, he made them feel seen and valued while also supporting Maria's own aspirations. It was both comforting and invigorating to have someone who understood the weight of motherhood but encouraged her to reawaken her own passions. This newfound partnership prompted Maria to reflect on her earlier reservations. Hadn't she spent years burying her own dreams for the sake of providing stability? The fear of losing control over her family's circumstances had nearly stifled her spirit. With Daniel's unwavering support, however, Maria began to rediscover parts of herself she thought she had lost: her love for art, her joy in creating, and even small moments of self-care that fueled her spirit. Work hard, love deeply. Maria thought to herself as she realized that balancing family life with personal aspirations was not only possible but necessary. She often reminded herself that teaching her children how to dream was just as important as providing for their physical needs. Reflecting on that notion filled her with a sense of fulfillment. Maria also recognized the value of navigating life's uncertainties alongside Daniel, an ally who understood that vulnerability could be a strength rather than a weakness. They discussed their dreams openly, travel destinations to explore as a family, plans for future milestones, and the potential to create a meaningful legacy together. Such shared dreams made their bond feel even stronger. It was no longer just about surviving but thriving together. As Maria prepared dinner one evening, the aroma of spices wafting through the kitchen filled those moments with warmth and anticipation for future gatherings. In the background, Jake and Lily chattered excitedly about school projects and made plans for their next adventure outdoors with Daniel. This celebratory atmosphere spoke volumes, more than mere words could express about what their new life represented. With all these realizations came clarity. Love was never meant to overshadow responsibility. Instead, it should enhance it. A relationship built on trust, understanding, and mutual growth enabled both partners to uplift one another while forging ahead together through life's complexities. Looking out the window at the setting sun, lending its golden hues to an end-of-the-day glow around them, Maria felt warmth fill her heart yet again. This journey hadn't been easy. It required sacrifices and facing fears head-on, but ultimately it taught her invaluable lessons about love, the importance of nurturing relationships while still aspiring toward individual dreams. In aligning with Daniel, she discovered that embracing family didn't mean losing oneself. It provided an opportunity for all involved to flourish. Ready to embrace whatever came next on this winding path ahead, Maria knew that every step forward protected not just her desires but also ensured a brighter future for Jake and Lily. A life rich in love, laughter, and endless possibilities. As Maria sat in the living room, watching Jake and Lily engage in their latest adventure with Daniel, she felt a renewed sense of hope for the future. The previous months had been transformative, not just a transition to a life of partnership with Daniel, but an awakening to her own potential and dreams once more. Thinking back to her initial hesitations about marrying Daniel, she now recognized how far she had come. The blend of their families was not merely a dream that seemed far-fetched. It had become a vibrant reality filled with laughter, love, and shared responsibilities. Daniel's encouragement had nurtured her creative spirit, allowing her to pursue art projects while fostering the joy of family life at the same time. As spring approached, Maria found herself planning for a brighter future filled with fresh possibilities. Inspired by the budding flowers outside her window, she began sketching again after years of prioritizing her children's needs over her own aspirations. Each line and stroke brought back cherished memories of peace and purpose, fueling her desire to consider taking an art class again, a dream she had long shelved away. Is it time for me to step out and embrace my own passions? She wondered excitedly. Realizing that nurturing herself was equally important as nurturing her family illuminated a path forward that leaped beyond mere survival into creativity and fulfillment. Maria also thought about the lessons she wanted to impart to Jake and Lily, a love for exploration, wonder, and the importance of pursuing their passions fearlessly. With every picnic they enjoyed at the park or evenings spent working on projects together as a family, she could feel the strength of their bond growing. Each experience further reinforced that love was about creating an unshakable foundation where all involved could flourish. Another part of her journey included introducing Daniel to more than just games or family expeditions. She envisioned collaborative endeavors where he would join in leading educational trips for the kids or attending art galleries as a family. This blending of lifestyles created opportunities for everyone. Daniel could become more integrated into their everyday lives as well. She wanted him to see how vibrant their world was and how he fit into their tapestry beautifully. On weekends, they planned outings exploring nature trails or visiting local art fairs together. These moments became not just routines but also cherished memories, forming the roots of a growing family legacy. Fridays transitioned into movie nights where they all snuggled under blankets, sharing popcorn and laughter. deepening connections through simple yet meaningful interactions. As summer approached, Maria envisioned more adventures, day trips to nearby beaches or camping under starlit skies, creating bonding moments where they could cultivate shared experiences while strengthening each other's lives in beautiful ways. Through it all, Maria realized that life was ultimately about choice. The choice to embrace opportunities when presented and the courage it took to forge new paths, rather than being defined by motherhood alone or what others expected from her journey with Daniel. This chapter allowed her to evolve into someone who embodied resilience and aspiration. With each passing day, Maria felt ready to face whatever came next, embracing both challenges and joys with open arms alongside Daniel and the children. Life awaited them with infinite possibilities sprouting like blooms beneath the warm sun of spring. Ready for both adventure and routine intertwined in new ways, Maria understood deeply that love created space not just for family unity but also individual fulfillment. A rich tapestry woven from threads of support that would empower them all. As she smiled at Jake and Lily giggling in Daniel's presence, Maria cherished this moment. The promise of tomorrow filled with hope wrapped around everything they were becoming as one loving family.